If the Miami Heat were a steak, I would send them back to the kitchen because they are done. They are completely cooked. Usually I like my steak with a decent amount of red in it. I want to still hear that cow mooing. And the cow ain't mooing for the Heat anymore. They are completely finished at this point. Look, I know there's actually some series left. They're only down 2-0. But right now, with the situation they have, and the injuries to Dragic and Bam Adebayo, and the way they're playing, I just don't see any way that they could come back in this series. And in game 2, I think the Miami Heat probably tried to do everything that they could to win the game. They played a ton of zone. They forced the Lakers to shoot over 50 threes, the most threes by any team in NBA Finals history, but that still didn't work. They kept the Lakers out of the paint for a lot of the game, but when the Lakers were able to actually get in the paint, they made it count. Anthony Davis was hitting shots in the paint all night, had a fantastic field goal percentage. LeBron James was cooking as well. They both were able to score 60. And yeah, the Lakers didn't shoot great from 3, but they were able to get it done, even against the zone. And the biggest thing is that with the zone, they gave up 16 offensive rebounds, which is an absurd amount to give up, not just in a game, but in a playoff game in general. And the Lakers took advantage. And this is why, and I will say it again, for people who don't know this, is that zone is for cowards. And they wanted to do it because they didn't want to have their guys mismatched against the Lakers. They don't want to play them straight up. And I get it, it's a strategic thing. But at the end of the day, I don't care what you say, zone is for cowards. Tell Jim Boeheim that. I want to sit here and talk about the rest of the series and talk about game 2. But in all honesty, with how things are going right now, I think we need to look forward a bit. And at the end of the day, I think this Heat team will compete. They will try their damnedest to try to win this series, make something of it. They have guys who are complete dogs on their team. A team led by Jimmy Butler isn't just going to give up. But at the end of the day, I think we have to start imagining ourselves with the Lakers having the confetti fall down on them. And I'm going to bet the first thing they mention after they win is going to be Kobe's name. And I get that a lot of the season is about honoring Kobe and everything like that. But I do really think that it takes away from this Lakers team and that they're not winning because of Kobe Bryant. They're winning because they have 2 of the best players in the world and they've formed a team around them that fits really, really well. But even when the Lakers do eventually win it, you're going to have people that say, oh, well, they didn't get to play the Clippers if they would have played the Clippers. And, oh, well, they didn't get to play the Bucks and Giannis. And, the Nuggets weren't actually a real opponent. And the Heat, if this weren't in the bubble, the Heat wouldn't have made it. And then the bubble, if the bubble wouldn't have happened and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Lakers were one of the best teams in the NBA this entire season. LeBron James is still one of the best players in the league, and right now you probably can't argue that he isn't the best player in the league with how he's played so far. Anthony Davis has risen to his stardom. Anthony Davis went from a guy who was making all-star teams and was someone who fantasy basketball players loved because he put up big numbers, and now he has risen to stardom, and it showed at the highest level what he can do. And again, I know people are going to say that this title doesn't mean anything for them, but at the end of the day, this Lakers team has completely earned it if they do go on and win the series. And remember when people said that LeBron James was cooked? Remember when people said that he didn't have it in him anymore and that this Lakers team would fail, that it wasn't worth trading for Anthony Davis? Oh, what's going to happen if we trade Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart for Anthony Davis? Oh my God, they're going to have no depth. Here's the thing about the NBA. It is really, 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 and I'll say it again, really hard to find superstar players. And you will trade all of that depth you can and young, promising talent for those players at the end of the day. And remember when people said Anthony Davis didn't have that killer mentality? Remember that was a thing because he was stoic and he wasn't a big personality and didn't yell and wasn't abrasive all the time, that he didn't have a minute to win the championship or to perform at this kind of level? Remember that? And Anthony Davis is an example of what I think can happen to a lot of guys in the NBA, and that's we always have this thing where so-and-so will never win a championship. For a lot of people, that's James Harden right now. James Harden will never win a championship. But I feel for guys like Anthony Davis, like James Harden, you have to be put in the right situation. And these top-level guys, if they're put in that right situation, can succeed and can perform at these levels. Anthony Davis with the Pelicans, he had some promising moments. He had some good moments. He was able to carry a Pelicans team to the second round of the playoffs just a few years ago. But his ceiling was limited there. there, and playing with a guy like LeBron unlocks all of those things. And there are some people who are going to argue that Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers, and I don't think that's like a crazy argument. I would disagree with it, but Anthony Davis has been able to blossom to who he could always be because of his situation. And again, I know people are going to say that the bubble has made this a fluke and everything like that, but I really think with teams like the Lakers and especially the Heat, they were able to embrace the bubble. I mean, the bubble was actually like a really challenging thing. And I know that Paul George got some flack for talking about how he developed depression in the bubble, but that stuff is real. These guys are human beings. Not being able to see your family, not being able to live that life you've come accustomed to. Yeah, it sounds a little bit privileged, but remember when people were making fun of the food that the players were eating in the bubble and how it looked like microwave food? These players, don't get to live that same lifestyle. They don't just go out. There's no women, there's no bars, there's no anything. They're not even with their family. And it was just basketball. And it had to be just shocking for the brain at first. I think some of these basketball players fell in love with being a celebrity or the star in playing basketball and not actually about the game itself. And you saw that some teams embraced it just all being about basketball. We heard about the troubles in like the Clippers locker room and stuff like that. I think a team like the Celtics also in the bubble was able to overcome those things. At the end of the day, I think people are going to look at the bubble sometimes as a little bit of an asterisk, but I see it as a complete challenge. That getting over that hurdle, this is one of the hardest championships in NBA history. Look, this series isn't over technically yet, but I think we all are looking toward the direction that the Lakers are probably going to win this series. LeBron's going to get his 4th championship. Anthony Davis is going to get his 1st. And the Los Angeles Lakers are going to be champions once again. But when that time does eventually come, I don't want to hear any excuses about why the Lakers were able to get there, all of these things that happen around them. In NBA history, there's a lot of what ifs and buts and everything like that. But if we did that for every single year, we could find examples of that. Don't make excuses when the Lakers do eventually become champions. They completely earned this. And they face a formidable opponent in the Heat who unfortunately got banged up. And I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry they don't get that true shot. And at the end of the day, the Lakers earned it. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, Seatman Sports. Give this video a thumbs up and tell me in the comment section if you think I'm an idiot for saying that this series is already over. I'm Jimmy Seatman. This is Seatman Sports. I'll talk to you guys next time.